Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking you straight inside the ultimate football war room to break down the 2026 World Cup. But we're doing it a bit differently. We're putting two totally opposing worldviews head to head. On one side, you've got the traditional scouting eye test. The guys who live for pedigree, flair, and that pure individual brilliance. And on the other, the modern tactical data analysts, the folks obsessed with structure, metrics, and squad depth. It's kind of the ultimate clash of philosophies for the biggest sporting event on the planet, so let's get into it. So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the blueprint for this global spectacle, then look at the tactical clash of the giants, followed by the underdogs who could totally disrupt the system. After that, we'll project the knockouts, and finally, look at the final match and top honors. All right, part one, the blueprint for a global spectacle. 48. That number literally changes the entire game. For the very first time, the World Cup is expanding to 48 teams. For the analysts running models right now, their baseline parameters are completely blown out of the water. For the traditional scouts, it's a dream, a much wider array of playing styles and unheralded talent to watch. But analytically speaking, it dramatically alters the group stage dynamics. A bigger tournament means a longer tournament. We're talking massive variance in fatigue, forced squad rotations, and just sheer unpredictability. Surviving this format will take a serious physical toll. And if adding 16 teams wasn't crazy enough, let's talk about where this is happening, across three massive nations, the US, Canada, and Mexico. This presents a monumental geographic challenge. We're dealing with wild climate variations, huge time zone shifts, and incredibly long flights between matches. The data analysts are having to heavily weight squad conditioning and travel logistics into their predictive models. Because honestly, managing player recovery across an entire continent is going to be just as crucial as whatever tactics they deploy on the pitch. Moving on to part two, the tactical clash of the giants. When you feed the top-tier teams into the data models, the algorithms absolutely love Spain. Their elite possession and midfield control generate incredibly consistent metrics, but there's a catch. They are statistically vulnerable if Rodri has fitness issues or if they face a super deep, entrenched defense. Now, France, they boast unrivaled squad depth and a deadly counterattack with a peak mbappe, but scouts are quick to point out their tendency for random defensive lapses. Then you've got Argentina. The scouts absolutely revere their winning mentality and Messi's aura, right? But the analysts, they're waving red flags over an aging core trying to defend a title under massive pressure. And finally, England. They've got Kane's guaranteed goals and a crazy deep young midfield, but the historical weight of a tournament drought stretching back to 1966, yeah, that's a massive psychological variable that models just can't really quantify. The whole scout versus analyst debate really heats up with Brazil and Germany. Scouts are totally mesmerized by Brazil's sheer attacking talent. The flair of Vinicius Jr. and their historic World Cup pedigree is undeniable. But the analysts, they're sweating over Brazil's defensive inconsistencies and their recent string of tournament letdowns. Meanwhile, Germany is a super fascinating case. Under Julian Nagelsmann, they've developed this tactical flexibility and rigid structure that modern data models just drool over, plus the individual brilliance of Jamal Musiala. The only real question mark is the immense pressure to redeem themselves after some really tough recent World Cup exits. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the ultimate tactical dichotomy in the modern game. On one side, Spain. They represent the absolute pinnacle of possession-heavy, control-based tactical modeling. They literally want to slowly, systematically suffocate you with the ball. On the exact opposite end of the spectrum, you have France. They rely on blistering speed and extreme squad depth to launch explosive, deadly counterattacking transitions. It's basically the data analyst stream of systemic control going head-to-head with the scout stream of raw, unstoppable athletic power. Okay, part three, underdogs disrupting the giants. So, because this expanded format mathematically increases the chances of an underdog making a deep, chaotic run, we have to look at the system disruptors, who can actually break the analytical models. Morocco is right up there. They've already proven their elite defensive organization and counterattacking brilliance on the world stage. Japan is another one. They operate with such tight tactical discipline and team chemistry, they are incredibly tough to break down. Then you've got Norway. They bring a terrifying attack led by global megastars Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard, which is exactly the kind of wild card you want in knockout football. And don't sleep on Ecuador, bringing rock-solid defense paired with a fearless young squad. In a grueling 48-team gauntlet, these specific tactical profiles make these underdogs incredibly dangerous to the established favorites. Which brings us to part four, projecting the knockouts. When we plug in squad quality, tactical balance, group draw probabilities, and historical form, the analytical models give us a pretty clear map of the later stages. Here is the projected consensus for the Elite Eight, your quarterfinalists: Spain, France, Argentina, Brazil, England, Germany, Portugal, and our lone dark horse, Morocco. What's super compelling here is how closely these selections align. Whether you're looking at expert scouting forecasts or hardcore analytical rankings, the consensus is tight. The data strongly suggest the true heavyweights will rise to the top when the stakes get this high. Let's move to the pathways and see how this builds toward the ultimate prize. If these projections hold, we are staring down some absolute blockbuster semifinals. We're talking Spain navigating past Germany, France overcoming Brazil, Argentina surviving an absolute war with England, and Portugal finally halting Morocco's Cinderella run. It becomes this incredibly narrow, grueling funnel where literally the slightest tactical error or one single moment of individual magic dictates who survives. And that leaves us with our predicted Final Four: Spain, France, Argentina, and Portugal. This quartet is basically the ultimate convergence of elite scouting pedigree and flawless tactical execution. Think about it. You've got the defending world champions, two recent European powerhouses, and a terrifying French squad looking to cement a true dynasty. It really doesn't get more elite than this. All right, the final section, the final match, and top honors. Now, what's really interesting about this projection is the dream final it sets up: Spain versus France. It's the ultimate clash of footballing philosophies. You have the highly calculated, methodical possession of the Spanish against the raw, dynamic power of the French. It's emerging youth against battle-hardened tournament experience. And on an individual level, it's the creative unpredictability of a young Lamine Yamal going toe-to-toe with Kylian Mbappe at the absolute peak of his career. But obviously, there can only be one winner. And the verdict from the aggregated analysis? It's Spain. Why? Well, in a grueling travel-heavy tournament across an entire continent, balance is everything. Spain is projected to take the trophy because they enter as arguably the most complete team. Their exceptional midfield gives them the tactical flexibility to adapt to literally any opponent, which gives them the definitive edge in both the data models and the traditional scouting reports. As for the individual hardware, the Golden Boot forecast strongly points to Kylian Mbappe, and the analytical reasoning here is practically bulletproof. He's hitting his absolute peak career age, he's the designated penalty taker for his nation, France is heavily expected to go deep and play the maximum number of games, and honestly, he's just a remarkably consistent goal scorer on the biggest stages. Sure, guys like Kane, Haaland, Vinny Jr., and Alvarez are absolutely in the mix, but Mbappe is the clear statistical favorite. Moving to the best goalkeeper prediction, the source materials project Gianluigi Donnarumma to take the honors. The core strengths backing this up include his elite shot-stopping ability and his vast big match experience on the global stage. While there are other massive contenders in the mix like Unai Simon, Emiliano Martinez, and Diogo Costa, Donnarumma is the current forecast based on the expectation of a very deep tournament run. So the crucial point is this. If we summarize this entire 2026 blueprint, we're looking at Spain lifting the trophy, with France as your runner-up. Japan is projected as the biggest surprise package, Morocco stands as the definitive dark horse, and Lamine Yamal is poised to take the young star crown. It's a compelling forecast built on both the magic seen by the scouts on the ground and the rigorous structure demanded by the analysts in the war room. Which leaves us with one final provocative question as we look toward this massive 48-team spectacle across North America. When the tactical models are finally put to the ultimate test on the pitch, will the structured, suffocating possession of Spain truly conquer the devastating, explosive power of France? It's the ultimate footballing debate, and frankly, we can't wait to see the answer unfold. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes on the data